Several months after receiving the complaint, you're going to receive a document called Notice of Claim in Conference. This is a very important document and you shouldn't ignore it because it's the first opportunity to settle the claim without having to go to a hearing. The Notice of Claim in Conference will typically give you a date and time to appear. And most of these appearances, since the COVID era, are either by phone or by video. But some offices may require you to appear in person. Along with the Notice of Claim in Conference, there's going to be a sheet with a number. And you're going to look at that number and say, wait a minute, this is much larger than even what the employee claimed I owed them. Well, that's because the labor board also adds additional penalties and fees on top of what the employee says that you owe. The largest of these numbers is what is typically called liquidated damages. And what that is damages that are assessed for not making the payment when you should have made the payment. And it's typically the daily rate that the employee is paid times a maximum of 30. So for example, if they're paid $100 a day, then you're going to pay an additional $3,000 on top of what the employee claims that you owe. Now, remember, this large number is just a claimed amount. Nothing has been proven yet. So you don't necessarily owe this money. And that's why the Notice of Claim in Conference is important because it's your first opportunity to go in and tell your story. Now, they don't accept evidence at a Notice of Claim in Conference. The employee tells their story, you tell your story, and then the Deputy Labor Commissioner attempts to get you guys to settle prior to going to a hearing. Now, I get calls all the time asking me to attend notices of claims in conference, and I typically don't do it unless the number is so large that it makes sense to do it. For the most part, if the risk level and the number is large enough, you may want to hire an attorney. If not, then go in there yourself. It may be intimidating, but it's a casual mediation style type of meeting, and you just attempt to get rid of it, whether you owe it or not. If you don't resolve the claim at the Notice of Claim in Conference, then roughly a year later, you're going to receive a notice of hearing. At this stage, you typically need an attorney unless the dollar amount is lower than what you would pay the attorney. Then, of course, it wouldn't make sense to do that. Now, this is a full-blown trial. You're going to be presenting evidence, you're going to be cross-examining witnesses, and everything is going to be under oath. So it's really important that at the very minimum, you understand what you're doing in the context of a trial, but I would suggest that you hire an attorney.